raw, hard to deal with writing, and I felt awkward writing it. And in our class, I think it was like 2 guys, and I was writing about penises and things, and Brandy's just like, yeah, write that penis poem. Yeah, and she just encouraged me to be bold on the page, where I was like, I don't know if I should use the word penis, is that weird? And she just was like, go for it, and gave me a boldness, and I needed that for this collection. This was a really hard to deal with collection. So now it's evolved, and now it's getting published. And before it was in the frame of me experiencing things and seeing the city. And now it's become a personification. So the collection is about me dialoguing with this character named Beijing, who is a very interesting woman. And it's just really about the interaction in that way. That was the best way I could frame the experiences and coping with them. So I'll start with the first poem in the collection. Beijing and I meet for the first time, December 2006. When I first met Beijing, she said, "What are you doing here? It's not the Olympics yet." I tried to tell her I was here to see her country, to get away from my own home. But she tried to sell me bootleg plushes of pandas, and I caved in. When I first met Beijing, the street was cold, and there was a boy with a hole in his pants where his penis stuck out, purple and small. I asked her about that boy, but all she said was, "I hear our mall is the largest in the world." She gave me a 5-star hotel room with a waterfall in the lobby. Every time I passed through that lobby, I thought about the boy. When I first met Beijing, all she wanted to do was practice her English. I told her I was interested in writing poems, but she didn't know what that was. I said I wanted to hear all about her, what she believes in, where she goes for daily fun, the names of her friends and what they hope to become. But she said there are some things that we just shouldn't talk about. This next poem is called Beijing Explains Her 12-Year-Old Gymnast. I'm sure you all kind of remember that scandal. Yeah, with the girls that were allegedly 16 that were actually 12. So Beijing says, "She isn't 12, she's 16. Her name is He Kexin. She was in the Olympics before, but now is retired. Too old. No one believes me. You think we want to look so young? That we don't want American breasts, full Western hips and lips? I have no daughter, but if I did, she would fly like He. She would live in the air and only come down to eat mooncakes and taunt us. She would be afraid of no men, and no men would enter her. Her body would be tight like a branch, unbending but beautiful. No one would educate her. She would sing too loudly. She would not be known by name, but by the way her legs whip through the air like a bird, the way she vanishes so young without demands, without others to condemn her and harness her wildness." Beijing hosts an Olympics party. 2007. Beijing shows me her new earrings. They're shaped like birds' nests. They even light up, see? She presses the button on the hook. It distracts me from the scars on her cheeks. I went over once for the setup. She had this billboard in the front lawn that said, "Only 139 days left." I never saw the construction or the renovation work she did. But I remember the sick feeling in my stomach when she started sending out invitations and eviction letters simultaneously. And she danced every day. She brought a new dress every hour. When she held it up to the light, I could see small stitches in the bodice. She said, "It took 3 girls 20 years to sew this one flower," then ripped it with her teeth. 2008, silence. 2009, when I ask about last year's party, she doesn't say anything. I search her Facebook page for photos of what she's doing now, but all her albums are empty, like she was never there or anywhere. 2010, I ask how much she paid for that gig. Just curious. She says, some things are paid for over an extended period of time. Then she examines me, takes my hand, and tells me I should go buy a new shirt. It looks old, she says, and you know how I feel about old things. 2012, someone posts pictures of an emptied kayak course. Behind, ripped banners read, Beijing 2008. No one plays volleyball here anymore, not now. A security guard puts his hand over the camera lens. But even so, I search. I only find this series of pictures, nothing else. 2 hours later, they're gone. And am I the only one who noticed? So this last poem from the Beijing collection is Beijing's newspaper talks about Jilin poultry plant fire. So as you guys probably have heard about all the, factory security, like safety that is not really being enforced. So there was a poultry factory that caught on fire, and all the doors were locked except for the main door because the boss's reason that people would just skip out on their break. But of course, that cost a ridiculous amount of lives. And this was just last year, 3rd of June, 2013. If people say the wall was built on bones, then how much more must we give to survive? Our progress as an enterprise inspires. The doors were locked to keep them on the job. A manager explains they'll milk their breaks, or so we say, our wall was built on bones. So when that fire came, there was just one door. 100 workers died inside the plant. Our progress as an enterprise inspires. The bolted exits were a violation, and experts say there will be punishments. But all we know is that the world is built on bones. A woman found her husband in the floor, and in the stairwell 50 more endured. Our progress as an enterprise inspires. The firemen ran out of water here, but next time they will have enough to use. If people say the wall is built on bones, then look, our enterprise, it grows, it grows, it grows. So I'll give kind of a sneak preview of some of the current stuff I'm working on too. Political work is still something that interests me. I'm working right now on a collection of poems called Names of Animals that kind of deals with social injustice around the world and trying to cope with that and figure out what, as somebody at upper middle class American, how do you cope and process with that. So I do have one long poem, I apologize for that, and it's called Phantom Limb, and this is for the Bangladesh Ruma Plaza factory collapse. For 5 days, I remained with my coworker under the concrete. I could not see her in the dark, so I sang her songs. I said someone would dig us out, and that before we knew it, the sewing machines would be up again, and we would have our legs back. On the first day, she replied with screams and sobs. The second day, moans. The third day, silence. The fourth and fifth days, silence. And all around me, the perpetual humming of flies. My eyes become sticky like a cow's. Inside of me, I feel insects build their nests. They inhabit me, crawling on and in me like a place to be visited, a point of pilgrimage. If I still had hands, I would brush them off. I would blow them off, but I have no mouth. Every minute here in darkness, I become less and less human. There are days in the factory that I look out the windows and all I can see are cage bars. Below us, the relentless ground of motorbikes and livestock. There was only so much room, only so many machines. We would fight for the ones closest to the windows. Some woman fainted while standing up. Sometimes it was like we worked in a zoo and we were getting better and better at our part. The morning of the incident, police herded us into our places. The walls had cracks on them. The other shops were closed for the day, but we were told we would lose our jobs if we didn't go in. Unlike cows, we knew better. We knew what we were walking into. But as we walked under the threshold, we prayed under our breath, maybe it will stand for one more day. We know our fathers, but they will not acknowledge us or call us by name. And what can we do? We work because of poverty. Our children, too, ask us, what is my mother's favorite color? And why does she always look so tired? It is my 7th day, my day of rest. I'm drowning in the middle of a building where no one has found me. Is anyone looking for me? There isn't much to think about. Maybe I'm just too far in for anyone to hear me. Maybe the concrete eats my voice. Why didn't I work closer to that door? Why didn't I stay home sick or refuse to go inside? I am delusional. From every side of me, I hear light. My body becomes lighter, looser, until I float. I am in a stranger's arms, and he is carrying me. My head propels forward, and I vomit. There are still nights I can't sleep because of those screams. Even in the silence beside my husband, the dark reminds me of what it's like to live without a body, for your body to be vacated for insects and animals. Those same nights, I dream about my arm. I swear to you, I feel it there, that beautiful, incredible weight. I pick up fine clothes with it. I sew. I bring money for my daughters. I sew and sew until my hands become animals and run away. This next one is ekphrasis from the cover of a World Vision magazine. So the quote that inspired this was from John Warren. It said, "Lami's grandmother says of the 4-year-old Syrian refugee, she's never had a beautiful day in her life." Lami, your shoulder has flowers growing out from it. Is that beautiful? Or is that a war scar, irremovable ulcer, the kind of flower that burns into and will pass onto your daughter's shoulder, and her daughters and her daughters? What about the blue in your sleeve, sky opening on your neck like the clearness above the Dead Sea? Or is the Dead Sea your street, the foundation of your once home, the place outside your tent, the place inside your tent? Your lips are wide, not quite smile, but with the big eyes. You are at the age that other girls are dreaming up pink worlds. What worlds do you dream up with me? And will you live to have one smile, one beautiful day where the sky is pink and doesn't mean war? So this poem, last summer I went to Israel, and this was inspired by my time in Jerusalem, where literally a piece of the wall fell at me, and somebody said, "We're not liable for any injuries that might occur in this marketplace." Very reassuring. A piece from the old city wall plummets towards me. When it hits the ground, it breaks to the size of my fist. A vendor watching from a picture says, "We're not liable for any injuries that may occur." I imagine the inside of my skull wet like a premature fruit. In the street, people and tractors come and go. In moments, there would be no evidence of me. In the city, blame is passed like trading cards between strangers. So who would be held liable then? The rock? So something else that this collection has been kind of exploring is what a burqa looks like. Some of the poems are in the Muslim world, and so the idea of a burqa not just being, I guess, how we always envision it, but something beautiful has been something that I play with in my poems. So these are questions from a schoolgirl. What if my burqa had flowers on it? What if it bloomed and I was a walking rose bush? No, something softer. How about a bougainvillea? What if my burqa had stars on it? And whenever somebody would see me, they would fall asleep. What if my burqa was an animal and I was the thing it ate? Or what if I were a mountain and my feet were Kabul and the air above my head is where God resides, wanting to want me? What glory can a girl have if her glory is under such a thick, heavy sky? Not that I want attention or praise. Perhaps my burqa could be made like a mirror, reflecting off the heat and reflecting God, so that everywhere I walked, no one would see me, they would only see God. Yes, that would be much better to blend into the sky than for someone to come and pick off all my flowers in fear of how bright and beautiful they are. So I think that's about all I've got for today.